You boys ready?
Ready.
Let's do a podcast.
Shut up and sit down.
Believe in yourself because you came all the way to here. That means you must have some talent. You must have some potential. Just don't throw it away by just giving up.
I let go of the handlebars, let go of the handles. I let go of the handlebars, letting go of the handles. Yeah, I can't keep my hands off you or off my bicycle.
I've told you once and I'll tell you again. Shut up, legs. I'd love to say that to Matthew Grand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Doering as well, but I'd probably get canned from this gig. Nevertheless, enjoy the Dialed podcast.
Yep.
Yes, showing up and participating is important. Trying your best is important, but neither deserves a trophy. If you want one of those, go win some.
Do I look too cool? Do I look too cool? On my bicycle, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm sorry,
You ate all the waffles?
Yes, I did.
Could have asked us if we wanted any.
Nuh-uh, if I give you the waffles, I won't get any.
Link, would you like a waffle?
There is no more waffles. I have them all.
Why, yes, Red, I think I would like 2 waffles.
You can't, you want 2 of them? I just don't know why you guys get all the waffles. You guys are being selfish.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von Doering, and I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Lance
Friggin'
Hepler.
In studio.
In studio.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got my DJ voice on today. Welcome
Spin
to
the records. I don't know what DJs say.
They push a button now? I don't know what they do. Whatever.
Shut up, Lance.
To his right, Matt LeGrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking fan-frickin-tastic. You are. No doubt about it.
Do you want to see my tan lines?
Yep.
Ooh.
I got too many clothes on.
Yeah, no pants Lance.
No pants.
Those are the tan lines we're
The
talking about, right?
Speedos in Tucson were just a little too much for me. I don't know. It's got some serious Speedo tan lines now. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway. Dude, we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
Back in the Pacific Northwest with a little bit of rain yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
A little bit. Or a lot of it.
It was quite depressing. I hate to say this. I like hightailed it home. I drove like 15 straight hours on Sunday to make it home by Sunday night. And Monday, I'm like, okay, I'm home. Let's wake up and go for a ride. It rained
So hard.
an inch and a half in Portland.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
I honestly thought that you were going to stop in Bend and get some riding in there. I checked just to see if you were like making your way home, and it was like maybe 9 o'clock at night, and you were like, I don't know, like southeast of Bend, heading through the desert or mountains or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I was going to stay the night in Bend. And then like the next morning, you're like, oh no, I'm home. I'm like, did you just drive all the way? He's like, yeah, I got home at midnight last night. I'm like, you're crazy.
Well, my wife, so if I went all the way through, we were pulling in at like 11:30 at night, which isn't too terrible. And if we made it home, she had a soccer game and a pickleball game that she could make it to.
Yep, should have guessed.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll drive. It's all good. So we
was she
made it.
snoozing?
No, she was drawing. Okay. And we were coming over Mount Hood, and there was snow coming in. And if I had hightailed it over Mount Hood, we would have missed the snow, and we missed the snow.
There you go.
That was another
That's
reason.
good.
Smart.
Yeah, I'm watching it. Yeah.
Hey, let's jump into some topics. Multiple topics.
What are we talking about today,
We're going to go
Jake?
multiple topics.
This is all Lance's fault.
Yeah, he threw out a lot of ideas for topics today, so that's good. We'll take help.
Let's start with this one because we just got back from team training camp. Are training camps worth it, Lance?
Oh, dude. Yes, indeed. My answer is yes.
100%?
100% yes.
Any downside, possibly?
It can be expensive.
Yeah.
And the travel can be difficult. We had a bit of a travel disaster on the way home. It wasn't a full disaster, but we had quite a bit of travel mess getting back from Tucson.
We were being all super responsible. Everybody was all packed up the night before. Everybody knew exactly what time they were going to leave. As a matter of fact, we even left like 15 minutes earlier than we said that we were going to leave so that we could arrive at the airport 2 hours ahead of time.
And
2 hours.
2 hours ahead of time was the plan.
Yeah, so we could check all of our bikes and be comfortable and do all of the fun stuff. We made a decision that it was easier for us to drive or to fly in and out of Phoenix and drive to Tucson and back. And it worked out slick going there. That was fine because we got there at a time that was reasonable for us to get our bikes unpacked and go for a shakedown ride, go to the grocery store, get something dinner, and just kind of relax and have a nice day. Some of the other guys flew into Tucson. Yeah, hindsight being 2020, that maybe was the better move. And they didn't get in though until like 11:30 at night, and they
got in very late and they left very early in the morning.
Yeah.
So the flight times weren't as agreeable.
Correct. So we're like, we'll just do this whole Phoenix thing. It'd be nice when you just sit in the car and chat for an hour and a half or 2 hours, however long it was. Heading back to good old Phoenix, Arizona. Was it on the I-10?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
someone
so.
decided that it would be a good idea to crash some cars and
This is
completely
big backup.
Oh,
And there's just no side roads.
They shut the freeway down.
They shut. Yeah.
Are there side roads that you
They're
had to take?
kind of, but those backed up so fast.
Yeah, of course.
It delayed us by an hour.
Well, I think it was more than that.
So we rolled into the airport 45 minutes before the flights left instead of 2 hours before the flights left.
No problem.
So we had two cars, and one of the other stories is a little bit funny how they beat us there. But for us, Chris Rat's such a gentleman. He's such a nice guy.
Yep,
and he got the short end of the stick on that deal.
He did.
But he was actually spot on right because we had to return a rental car, right?
Yes.
And he's like, I'm just going to drop you guys off at the curb and let you guys hustle in there. I'm like, is there any, because I'm like, I want to take your stuff, at least hold on to it so that you can, hightail it back over because the car rental returns off site. You actually have to take a tram
It's 4 miles away at the Phoenix airport.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, I'm not. You don't have to stay with my stuff. I'll take care of it myself. He's like, I'd rather see all of you guys make it and me miss it as opposed to all of us missing it. And
he's a good guy for sure, no doubt.
That's what ended up happening. So we all got on by the skin of our teeth, and then Chris made it back with time before the flight left. But they said that we can't get any of your luggage checked. And your bike's not going to get checked through. And so he took a later flight.
I don't know if you knew this. I followed him in the van to the rental car facility so that he didn't have to take the train back.
I did not know that.
He ran out with all his gear, threw his stuff in my van, and I sped back to the airport so that when we were like 5 minutes faster than the train.
Sure.
So, but it still was just
Futile.
It wasn't enough for him to make the flight.
Yeah, and I got on the plane and Chris had a really nice seat sitting there. He
had a first class seat.
First class seat because he's a frequent flyer with all kinds of miles and all
Yep.
this other stuff. Man, it was just sitting there empty, and I'm like, I wonder if I could take that seat. I would have felt so guilty. But it was unfortunate because Chris got left behind, but he did catch a flight later on. And then Ian Gibson with us was supposed to be, he works for Alaska Horizon, and
he's an aircraft engineer for Alaska Horizon.
And he flies for free, but he has to fly standby.
Correct.
He didn't buy a ticket this particular go around because he thought that based on looking at everything was supposed to be good. So originally he was supposed to fly out of Tucson, and he was flying standby with a couple other guys.
Yes.
They ended up getting on the flight, and he thought that it wasn't going to happen because it was looking too full, but everybody managed to get on. They got their flight back, and they got home at something like, I don't know, like noon or something like that, our time. And they went out and got like 30, 40, 50 mile rides in at home, and the weather was nice and all that other stuff. And he passed on that, and he's like, I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to go to Phoenix because it looks like the chances of me landing a flight there are better than in Tucson.
Oh no.
Wah, 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 wah.
And then we didn't make it, and then the flight ended up being full, and he wasn't going to make the Phoenix flight.
Yep.
So instead,
what do? Well, you hop in the Hepler wagon.
I drove him to Vegas.
Oh. Okay.
Which is like 4.5 hours away.
Were you heading through Vegas anyway?
Yeah, we were gonna head. Well, I wasn't sure yet, but
Probably
that
like
made the decision.
You would have stayed in like Mesa for a
We
night.
might have stayed for a
Right.
night.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, we're going. We're going to Vegas. So
Lance is sending me pictures of him and Brandy and Ian at Hoover Dam, and
we had time to kill, so we actually ended up stopping at the Hoover Dam and like touring it.
Yeah.
And then I drove him down the strip.
Yep.
Because he's never been to Vegas
Really?
before. No, he's
Oh.
never been there before. So I'm like, oh, we got some time. I'm gonna drive you down the strip. It'll be funny. And
sounds like you guys had a good time though.
we had a great time. Just hanging out in the van and talking for like 4 hours. We had a lovely time. So it was really nice.
This has been Travel Talk.
Travel Talk.
Let's get back to the question.
For me, I thought it was fantastic. I think I rode, 22 hours that week. So I missed one ride because I went to that thing in Scottsdale.
Oh, that's right. I'm like,
Peyton
how are you
Manning.
less hours? Yeah, freaking Peyton Manning.
What were you doing with Peyton Manning?
I had an investor meeting in Scottsdale, and
okay.
Peyton Manning was the speaker at it. So
He and my wife won the same like ESPN award or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And so like we had dinner with him and his girlfriend at the time, maybe wife now, I don't know.
oh, that's cool.
Really?
No, wait, actually I think that was Eli Manning. But then Peyton Manning was at Tennessee, and I met him at a bar one time.
Oh wow,
Weird.
Yeah, we didn't.
anyway.
We didn't actually get to meet him. I just got to see him from like 12
Distance.
feet away.
I'm
Yeah, it
sure-
wasn't big, but
I bet he's a good speaker.
He was
I bet,
great.
And I bet he's fun.
he was like interviewed by somebody, just kind of about.
Yeah.
It was great. And actually, the guy who interviewed him is the guy who started the professional pickleball league in.
Oh, I bet
in
your
the
wife was into
US.
that.
Oh yeah, she knew exactly who
I
he
care
was.
more about him than she did Manning. Huh?
Yeah,
She
yeah,
knew
yeah.
exactly who he was. I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is. So yeah, that was all kind of cool.
So here's my thing on training camps. I love the fact that it's like a break for the wintertime for us to be, not that I went on this training camp, but like when you skip out on the cold, gross, rainy weather, and it rained the whole time you guys were gone. Like I don't think you missed much here.
Yeah.
Then over there you'll get nice, sunny, great group rides with tons of friends, good place, good location, all these things. But you come back and your fit is all F.
Yeah.
And there's no races. There's no races anytime soon. You guys have like
there's races this weekend.
There's two races.
There is?
There's 2 races.
You guys should plug this race that's coming up. What race is there? Is Dial going to dominate this race because we're just fresh off the training camp?
I hope so. You would hope so. On Saturday is they call it the Paper Town Classic.
Oh.
It's the former Dirty Circles race, the race that Jake and I actually raced together at for the first time ever, like 8 years ago. 7 years ago.
Yep.
So that's on the Washington race calendar, and it's being put on by the guys at POA. So our rival, our frenemy team.
Yeah.
Quick question for you. We love those guys.
We do.
I think it's fantastic that they're putting on a race. Paper Town, that's cool. That's kind of like a thing here. There's a lot of paper industry, whatnot.
Longview is a
also a paper
mill
mill
town. Yeah.
Can a first time race be called a classic?
Okay,
And
Asking for a friend. I don't know.
and it's weird that they picked this weekend.
It just so happened to be.
It fits.
Yeah, it fits.
It's fine.
It landed the day before the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial that
Right.
we're putting it on Sunday.
Yep.
And
Did they pick that weekend before we picked it?
I don't know,
That's the
but their race is on Saturday. Ours is on Sunday,
fine,
so
yeah.
it fits. It
Yeah.
still works.
And a lot of people will race both.
Yeah.
Especially those of you guys that are fit, fresh off of training camp.
I hope so.
yeah,
Except for you're not.
Except I'm not. I'm gonna.
I
be
think
flying.
the pacing too, for me personally, I'd like doing the time trial second as opposed to going out because I feel like I really empty the tanks a lot more. Even though it's a shorter race, it takes more out of you when you're on the rivet for 30 minutes.
30
you know,
minutes
versus the road race. There's a chance that you could be doing sitting on the rivet for that period of time, but odds are you're going to sit in and your normalized power and your overall workload is going to be significantly less.
Yes.
So
Are you racing both, Jake?
I
Don't
will
know.
do the TT.
For sure.
I don't know just yet if I can make it to the road
And you're doing
race.
the Eddie division of the Mike Myers Memorial Time Trial, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. See if I can get 7th place or second place
Second
for the
place.
seventh time.
Yeah.
Well, it'll actually be the 6th time, but yeah. I don't know. With all my broken parts and pieces, I'd be happy to get 20th place in that.
So there are races to go to.
Okay.
After training camp.
So that
But there isn't like a decent road race for like a month after that. But our mountain bike races start the following weekend, and there's a race every weekend, a mountain bike race every weekend for the next like month.
Just out of curiosity, I haven't looked at the calendar. What's the next road race after the Paper Town Classic? I have no clue. Like, there's no Kings Valley, there's no Montanore.
There's no Kings Valley
the
this year at
Banana
all?
Belt's the only one I can think of that's out at Hag Lake. I'm hoping that the Oregon team's putting that back on again. I've heard that they are. I haven't looked at the calendar, but I can't think of any other road races other than PIR that are.
there's just not any road races.
Yeah.
It's not like
And
they're
even
it's
PR
not like they're coming up later. They're just not happening at all.
correct.
Wow.
They've pretty much promoters have walked away from the scene.
They're Swift Summit, but that's kind of gravel-ish.
Okay.
That's a 100 and a 200 mile race, right?
Yeah, correct. That's in April. There's gravel races, road races.
Is Banana Belt on that calendar?
No, I don't see it.
Huh. I wonder if they're coming back.
Are you going to do some gravel races, Lance? Are you going to figure
I
it?
am.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's like summertime.
It is.
Like another 2 or 3 months?
Yes, but the Gorge Gravel Grinders in April.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Hopefully you have good weather for
Mike
that.
Ripley has a couple events in May that I will do as
Mm-hmm.
well. And then I'm doing Unbound. I got into Unbound.
Oh,
But I'm doing the 100-mile race, not the 200-mile
just
race.
double it.
I'm doing the baby race.
No, you have to do a 200.
Are you doing the Paper Town Classic, Lance?
No, it's on Saturday.
Oh, you're going to be in
I'm going to be in
Gone.
Hawaii.
because you're Jackhole.
Jackal.
Is anyone else going
Jackal.
from any of our other friends going to Unbound?
Yeah, Surratt is going.
Is he good? Is he doing the 200?
He's
I
doing the
assume,
200.
yeah.
And David Barna is also going.
And what's he doing?
He's doing the 200.
You're going to get pressured into it, man. Just keep going. If they're like, nope, off, and you just be like, no, I'm going to keep going.
Nope. I'm going to be done at 100. But I
100's still a lot.
I am sleeping in the driveway of Surratt's condo because we just found out we got in and like all the housing is gone because
Right.
Emporia is a tiny little town.
Well, you got your house on wheels. You'll be
I
fine.
do have a house on wheels, so I'll be all right.
That'll be fun. That's going to be a fun trip. I just think,
fun.
I think that that's going to be the mecca of gravel for a while, for the foreseeable future, which means a lot of cool stuff because it means basically every bike company needs to be there.
Yes.
They need to basically have like a little expo on hand at that very small location, which of course means, yes, there's no housing available or anything like that.
Completely
but still,
takes it over. And it's 4,000 riders.
4,000 riders, but like,
Like the town is only like, I don't know what it is. I want to say it's like 2,500 or maybe it's 10,000. It's a tiny little town.
yeah. And I think that you'll get double that with the bike industry showing up to talk about what's new and what's happening. And I think it's going to be neat. I actually really like the idea of having something in the US that's dominant, right? Like we are the hub of gravel riding in a lot of ways.
Yep.
24,000 population. I was
So close.
A little off.
So close.
so close.
Right on. Matt, you've done a training camp. Was it worth it to you? It's been a few years.
I had so much fun. I really enjoyed it. And I think that year I was like planning on coming back and kind of gearing up for an Ironman race. I don't think that I it's not that I would say that it wasn't like a huge bump to fitness for when I needed it to come into play, right? So I had basically like a late summer big race, which is everything was revolving around that. But training camp was February that year.
Yeah.
I think.
It was, at the very end of February.
And so, yes, we did some big stuff. We ended up doing a 100-miler with a ton of elevation.
Yep.
I think we did 110 or something with, I don't remember,
like almost
10,000 feet of elevation.
It was almost 11, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a big, big day. And that was such a blast. But I don't think that I carried over that fitness because same thing, you come home and it's just straight rain for another month.
How do you continue that? Yeah.
And I think then it was like, okay, so then you're not starting from scratch or anything like that. You still get some of those fitness benefits, but it's hard to go out there, come decent weather in June or July when we finally have decent weather and get back to doing 100-mile rides, which is kind of what you need to do if you're doing an Ironman block of training. So
I did an AI FTP detection this morning on Trainer Road, and my FTP went up 5 points.
Good.
Yeah.
Points or watts?
Watts.
No,
5
points.
watts. 5 watts.
Wrong.
I should have said points because that would be a percentage. Yes, so I said that wrong. It went up 5 watts.
That's good, man.
Yeah,
that's
so
that's
good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That what you just touched on is probably the biggest thing for me about whether or not these things are worth it. I think that's probably the only true downside, with the exception of one other thing. When I go out and do these training camps, you have to prepare for training camp. Otherwise, training camp's going to hand you your backside, and it's just not going to be a pleasurable time. And you'll end up probably doing more harm than good if you're going to try and do that much volume. I finished with almost 25 hours, and it was just shy of 500 miles. That's a lot of riding.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready for that, that's really going to kick you in the seat of the pants.
Yes.
Another thing that I've noticed though is like, all right, I have to go out there and I have to train for that, and that's good because it kind of gets you inspired. It puts something on the calendar. We talked about that.
500 miles in a week. That's pretty good.
It was a week and a day. So
week and a day. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I go out and I do all this training, but you start ramping everything up, and then you go do this big training block where like all of a sudden you've got this huge spike in the middle of your week that's more than double what you're normally going to do, and your body as you start to age, starts to feel that a little bit. Now, what's crazy is like each day that goes by when you're at training camp, it feels like it gets a little bit easier and you don't have that big come down, that let off. But at the very end, I kind of felt myself, and I'm still not sure what it was, if it's allergies or if it's getting a little bit sick. And I feel better today, but my God, on Sunday, I felt like crap. And then Monday, I wasn't feeling 100%, but you hear me like talking about how hard it is for me to get good nights of sleep. And I finally have found some good things to help me with that. And I'm, getting much better sleep at night. I'm getting like, 7.5 hours as opposed to 5.5 or 6. And that's a big thing. And it's through like, just basically trying to be off screens and setting an earlier bedtime. And then magnesium was the big thing that really has helped me quite a bit. But when I came back, I was so zonked, just done. I slept for, I think it was almost 10 hours.
Wow.
That just never happens. It was just, I fell asleep on the couch at like 8:20 and I woke up the next day and it was like, I looked at the thing. I'm like, oh my God, I slept for almost 10 hours last night. That's absolutely crazy. So, but
it's probably good for you. Your body needed it.
Chest was like a little bit congested, and I don't know. I still don't know if it was allergies and just being exposed to
Training
something
camp
down
hangover
or something like that. But it just kind of, I think it suppresses your immune system a little bit, putting all of that strain and stress on it. So there is a little bit of that, but that's the only other downside, that and coming home to a crap ton of rain.
Yeah.
Like my backyard looked like a swimming pool yesterday. I even texted because I was working from home. I'm looking out there and I'm like, there's a pool out there and my dog needs to go to the bathroom. I'm like, damn it, I'm going to have to spend all this time mopping him up. But I text my wife. I'm like, I think our whole backyard's underwater. And she's like, oh, awesome. She's like, yeah, it's pretty bad here at work too. But coming home to that sucks. But the weather, the time changed. That's another big thing.
Yes.
So we've got a whole extra hour of light and it's going to just really kind of expand out as we go. But we've got that, and the weather, if it cooperates, you can really ride that wave for quite some time. And it really helps kind of like kick things off. It gets you out of that rut. It gets you out of that, like, I'm on the trainer 5 or 6 days a week. I'm lucky if I can get outside for a good ride because the weather's been crap. And it breaks that mold, and it gives you that confidence. And you come back and you've got all that fitness. Just got to figure out a way to maintain
it
as much
and
as
I think what
possibly
you
can.
need is like one solid ride a week.
Yeah.
Which is doable.
Yeah.
But honestly, I know this sounds crazy, but like in the Pacific Northwest, it's like, one ride a week outside, where you're getting 60 miles or so. It's like sometimes you don't get those opportunities.
Right.
With work and family and weather, it's just tricky. So,
yeah. And for me right now, I've got 2 daughters playing soccer, both on the weekends. And my oldest is finishing up her soccer career, and I don't want to miss those games.
Nope. Yeah.
Because I'll never get to see her play. I mean, she'll probably play as an adult, some pickup rec league or something like that. But it's just one of those things. I don't want to miss those moments. I don't want to be I missed her last 3 games because I was out doing 60, 70, 80 mile rides. Like that's no. And that's a big reason why I'm not sure about being able to make it to the Paper Town race.
Depends on the soccer schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
My daughter's soccer game is more important than me going to a bicycle race.
Yes, it is.
Even though she's, just playing in a rec club team thing and whatnot. But anyway,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't get those days back. No.
So, but for all intents and purposes, our training camp's worth it. Abso-freaking-lutely. I had the best time, and it was so fun to go there too with a lot of people. Like Lance has been to just about all of them, and a lot of the other guys have been to just about all of them. And we had a bunch of new people that showed up, and it's always fun to see the chemistry and the dynamics of how these things play out. And they're always at the end of the training camp. They're always a little bit different, but they're always super fun, and it's really good to get to know some of the newer guys even better. And seeing people do things that they've never done before, like having all kinds of like reservations and concerns and anxiety about like, am I going to be able to make it through this thing? You guys have laid out all these rides. I've looked at it. There's no way I'm going to be able to do that. And you get through the week and they all do it. And they're like, oh my God.
That was fantastic.
We had guys on the team that did 100 miles for the first time. We had guys that broke 10 hours for the first time. We had guys that went out there and broke, God knows how many rides in a row we did that were pretty big. And when he added it all up, they're like, I can do that now. And that's just going to be motivation for them to come back again next year and to know that their bodies are capable of doing some pretty cool things. And it's going to be inspiration for other people to want to go do the same thing.
Yeah. And training camps they're just neat that everything else is shut off. You don't have to worry about family time. You don't have to worry about work. You don't have to worry about all these other things. It's just like, nope, just eat and bike.
Yeah. It's amazing though, how fast those days go by. I mean, we weren't leaving at the crack of dawn because why would you? We have got nothing else to do. So I think the earliest we left was 9 o'clock, but we were generally leaving at about 10, and we were riding for anywhere from 3.5 or 4 hours up to 5 or 6 hours
Yep.
a day. And then you come back, it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you blink your eyes and all of a sudden it's 9 o'clock at night and you're like, what happened? I'm like telling myself I'm going to try and get a little bit of work done on the computer. I'm going to go out and like take some pictures. And I did all that stuff, but it felt like I didn't have that much time. It just felt like it went by really fast.
Yeah.
So one other cool thing about training camp, we had a Patreon join us.
We forgot to mention that last week. I can't believe we forgot to mention
Well,
that last
yeah,
week.
it was a different topic, and we were talking to a bunch of different people. And we were just trying to keep it rolling, and we were all pretty tired.
Yeah, we were kind of running on fumes trying to record the podcast after we'd had dinner, and that's usually we go right to bed after we had dinner. Usually,
bunch of old men. Yep.
But yes, Nathan Skanke, actually, he lives in Gilbert, Arizona, in the Phoenix area. And I think he reached out to Jake.
He did. He pinged us on Instagram, and he had actually won one of our Patreon drawings. He said, hey, in lieu of getting something out of the bag, can my prize be just joining you guys at training camp? I'm like, that's a fantastic idea. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so he drove down on the first day that we rode Mount Lemmon. So he drove down, met us at the house, and he rode with the team
That's so cool.
on Mount Lemmon Day. So
I only got to ride with him for like, I don't know, the first 15 or 20 minutes. And I think I didn't even get to really ride with him either because I kind of knew I had a little bit of a plan. I knew that there was a few stop ahead signs getting to the base of Mount Lemmon. So
yes, you did
chase those down. And then we start the climb and we're all riding together. And then all of a sudden one of our teammates is on the side of the road and he's having shifter issues. And it's like, it won't shift. And so I turned around and everybody else kept going. And I was with John for, I don't know, 5 or 7 minutes or whatnot, changing out a battery in his shifter. The shift out of one of those little 2032 CR2 2032 batteries. Mm-hmm. And we finally got that done. And you guys were like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes up
That's
the road.
all it takes, man.
And I wasn't going to hammer at the bottom of that climb to catch up to you and then keep up. So I kind of had to keep it in check a little bit. So I didn't get to really ride with him much after that.
I got to ride with him for about, I don't know, about 20 minutes. I was able to stay with him. And then they dropped me. Him and John Juan and Dan Beal all ended up going together up the road for me.
Good from them.
Yeah. And then about 45 minutes later, I picked them all back off.
Oh, yeah.
I got back up. So
turbo dieseled up there.
I ended up passing John Juan and passing Dan Beal, and I caught Nathan Skanke.
Cool.
And, yeah. So
who made it to the top first?
Paul.
Yeah, of course. Did he hammer it?
I think him and Hannel kind of blitzed it.
Yeah, good for those guys.
I think Hannel pulled a good chunk of it. Paul took a couple pulls, but he took the longer pulls.
Yeah,
and then I think
Hannel
dumped him off maybe at like mile 16 or 17 or something like that. And then Paul finished off going to the top. And it was the 20-mile variety that he got like an hour and 30.
Correct. The 21-mile segment they did in an hour 41. I took 2:08.
Yeah.
And he went an hour 41 in the 20-mile segment. So half an hour they were faster than me.
Where does that put him on the grand scheme of things? Like the big
Not
list?
Very, well, I think, was that the same one that Lionel Sanders did it in an hour and 11 minutes?
1:17.
Okay, so
for the 21-mile thing, I think it was 1:17. Or was it 1:14?
The
I don't know.
Shorter one, then he did it in an hour and 11.
Yeah.
So that's a
The
smoking fast time going up.
Really fast.
And Sam Long, for that whole thing, going back and looking at his power profile, I think it was 407 watts that he averaged for that hour and 15 minutes that he was on it. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? That's bonkers.
Yeah, it's pretty bonkers.
Wow. Yeah, it's fun seeing those guys go after it.
But thank you, Nathan Skanke, for joining us. It was super cool that you came down and hung out with us.
So it's even better. He rides a BMC.
He also rides a BMC, so that's really super cool.
Where do you think we should go next year, Lance?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. There's been talk of Malibu.
Okay.
The Malibu area, because all those hills and all, it would be another freaking climb fest. I tell you what was great for Tucson, big guys.
Big guys
did decent in Tucson because there isn't a ton of climbing. We would do 90-mile rides with like 4,000 feet of climbing, and that's like decent.
Yeah, we still did a good chunk of work though. I mean, we're still working really hard. We were still like pushing really hard and keeping the pace high, and everybody got to stay together. And what's nice about that is like the big guys could go hard And the smaller guys could just sit in the draft. And if they wanted to come around and take some polls, they could, but they didn't really have an opportunity to get away with the exception of Mount Lemon.
Yeah.
So I really like that dynamic. I'd like it to be a little bit more roller of a ride as opposed to just long sustained climbs. Or even if it's just like the punch in the gut after punch in the gut kind of climbs that we were getting down in Duluth in Southern California. Right. That was hard.
Southern California, I rode a lot of it alone.
Yeah.
And on this camp, I was able to stay with the group. Yeah. We were able to ride, group pack dynamics for a while, which I kind of enjoyed.
And what's nice about that too, it's a blessing and a curse. When somebody has a mechanical or a flat or an issue, we can all stop and quickly help them get back up and running. And you've got people around you as opposed to you being stranded by yourself and got this big tear in the sidewall and don't know what to do. Well, not only do you have people with you, but chances are we're in an area where we can get a hold of SAG support, aka Brandy. She can come and help people as well. So I remember when I stopped to help John with his battery, Brandy came flying back down the hill. You probably told her somebody's down there, got an issue.
I did. I passed her and said, "You need to go back because there's an issue down." And she turned around and buzzed down there.
Yep. I was giving her the thumbs up. No, we're good. We're good. Okay. She's like, "Okay, thank you." So anyway, that I think I like. Somebody else mentioned Maui specifically. Flights weren't too much more different, but housing was probably double, if not triple.
I would love that. Yeah. If we got 15 guys to go to Maui and ride together, that would be phenomenal. But it might be a stretch pricey for some people. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sure.
All right. Let's move on to the next question. Are we on training camp's worth it, right?
Training camp's worth it.
Worth it?
Yep.
Worth it.
Go for it.
Oh, and people did say they want you there next year for your breakfast burritos and the breakfast burritos, your comedic relief. So.
And my body, they want the good looks.
They do. We do need some ginger love out there.
They want something.
I will say the other great thing is we had no crashes and we had no major mechanicals. We had flat tires. We had 7 flat tires, but we didn't have mechanical issues and no crashes. So
we had one crash.
Oh, who crashed?
You.
Oh, yeah. I think day one. That's right.
There's no crashes. I promise there was no crashes. Oh yeah, me. I crashed.
So day one on the first ride.
Okay.
I was rushing back into the garage to grab something I forgot, and I unclipped and put my cleat down on the slick garage floor and immediately slid out and
I hate that.
split my leg open. I was like, we hadn't even done a mile yet, and I was already bleeding. It was kind of funny.
Ouch.
Way to go, idiot.
Yeah.
Glad you're okay.
I'm fine.
It was a successful camp. All right. Next question. Is Pogačar the best? And is he the best this year? And is he the best ever? What do you think?
Oh. Okay, there's a lot of questions. I think that he is the best this year. I think he's looking good. I think we just saw him race Vingegaard, and he beat him bad.
So Paris-Nice.
Paris-Nice was last week?
It was this last week.
Did you guys watch it at the camp?
We did not. You
were busy. You guys
the TV hardly came on. We would eat dinner and go to bed.
I know, right? That's
we wanted to be ready for the 5 hours we're riding tomorrow,
Right.
So, so we didn't watch it that much. But Pogačar kind of dominated Paris-Nice. He won 3 stages, I believe. He ended up winning by a minute. It was a showdown with him and Vingegaard, and he had his number. So he was kind of able to out-sprint him and out-climb him on a couple things. And so, man.
So he's had a good season so far. He's won quite a few races. But what's interesting is we're still kind of a long ways away from the tour. Tour's in July.
It's in July.
Basically. And it's just one of those things where it's maybe this is the problem, is that he's so fit right now, just like last year. He was super fit at this time of year last year. Is it too early?
It could be. We don't know.
We don't know.
It could be. I mean,
when you say is he the best ever, I don't think that I think it's more clear than ever that he is not the best ever, because he didn't win last year. Vingegaard was clearly the stronger rider last year.
I'm going to disagree with you.
You think that he just had a fluke year last year?
Well, actually, I'm not going to fully disagree with you. I'm not going to say that he's not the best ever, but I'm going to say that he's pretty damn close to it. And let's look at it from this perspective. He was the class of the field for 2 years in a row. He absolutely dominated. Last year came out and he had to go up against a very formidable opponent in Jumbo-Visma. And
The
Vingegaard,
whole team.
and that team set Vingegaard up for all kinds of success. And it's going to be even more difficult this year because they've got even more firepower. But he...
At the end of the tour, when they were mano a mano, Vingegaard beat him.
Yeah, but he had to do a lot more work. He was getting beat up. He was getting rope-a-doped all the time. And when you think about it, he only has so many matches to spin. So you need to have failures. You need to have a taste of that not being the best at that moment to understand that you've got the ability to be better. And he's a smart kid. He loves to race. He's a competitor. He's going to know exactly what he did wrong. They're going to go through that like clip by clip, frame by frame, and they're going to look at the whole thing and understand exactly what happened and why Vingegaard beat him. So the fact that he tasted that is going to make him even that much more hungry.
I agree with that.
To win this year, and I think that he's going to decimate the field. And he's got even more firepower on his team to help support him. There's no way he doesn't win the Tour this year.
Who's on his team this year that's the added bonus?
Yates.
Adam Yates.
Yep.
And he's riding in support? You would think.
Oh, 100%.
He'll ride in support.
Yeah. And you've got, McNulty, and then you've got Hershey.
McNulty was so critical last year.
Yep.
That team.
That's a good group.
Got stronger. He's even more hungry, and he's 23 freaking years old. He's still getting better.
And Vingegaard's
How can
similar.
he not?
Is he like 24? They're close in age, right?
I think he's 26 or
26?
something.
Okay.
He's a few years older.
Close.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
And that Jumbo-Visma team is also still ridiculously strong. I mean,
and they got stronger too.
How do you take this team that's like perfect and make it better? It's so weird. I think it's going to be a very fun tour to watch. I agree with you that he's going to want it more.
Look at his face when he's out there, and he knows he's hurting people, and he's hurting himself. He's got a smile on his face, and he's enjoying every second of it.
Are we going to do some live podcasts while we watch?
100%.
Those are fun.
Those were fun.
Come over
I
in the
hope
morning.
so.
Come over here in the morning and watch the tour. I mean, it's so much fun.
So is he the best ever? That remains to be seen. I think that you can put his name on the list as long as he's clean.
Wow.
I think that he's got a lot of tours in his future. I don't see him being a one and done kind of guy. Ineos has a lot of those guys they're still super strong riders. Don't take anything away from them, but they've won a tour with the exception of Froome, who was there and won multiples. But that's the team putting them on the podium. It's not the individual that's driving the team to the podium. And the fact that his team just got that much better and he's got that support that he needs and he knows what he needs to do, I don't see any reason why he can't win.
I think he's the favorite.
I really do think what Jake said is critical. Losing last year just stokes the fire. Instead of being like, I kind of got this thing figured out.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, now I got to buckle down. Why? What happened?
Yeah.
Why did I?
Because he was the favorite last year.
Yep.
And he lost. So now it's all the pressure on. He's a favorite. I think he'll be the favorite again. And Vingegaard also favorite, like maybe co-favorites, whatever you want to call it. But it's like, he knows he cannot slip up.
Yeah.
It's not like he's going to take it easy during his training, his ride up to the tour. He's going to be like, got to hit every workout. I've got to do exactly as the coach says. I've got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's the other big piece of the pie was last year, how many members of his team got sick? Like 50% of his team was gone with COVID or whatever. And I think that's kind of the stuff that teams are going to have to start to look for. Like, yes, you got to be hitting these workouts perfectly, but you also have to be able to keep yourself healthy and not catch COVID throughout this entire 3-week race.
Sure.
So it's gonna be interesting.
It's not easy, but I think that if anybody's going to come out and dominate, you have to say it's him. And who's going to beat him this year? I don't know. Maybe Vingegaard, but
right.
And who's going to beat him next year? Especially with next year. I mean, we kind of chatted about this a little bit beforehand, but they're not going to be finishing on the Champs next year in 24.
It just doesn't seem. I mean, everyone needs to kind of throw their hands in the air and kind of send an email or something. I don't know. That seems very odd to me.
I'm going to send you a strongly worded email.
Firmly worded email.
But you know what? That could be
heck?
spectacular. What if there's just like a 30-second margin and one of the guys has to beat the other one? I mean, that was one of the best races. Time trialing is usually kind of boring, but that was one of the best stages when
it is.
Roglic pretty much
Lost the Tour.
imploded, and Pogačar came out and beat him and won the Tour.
Isn't the Olympics happening in Paris in 2024? I think that might be why they're moving it.
Oh, really?
I just thought about that.
That's interesting.
I think they couldn't manage doing both the end of the Tour de France and the Olympics in Paris.
I had
at the
no
same
idea,
time.
and if that's the case, that makes 100% sense.
Yeah.
And it'd be
that's
kind
the-
of fun to see something different.
I have no problem. If that's the case, the Olympics is a great reason to mix it up and do something different. But they should then after that bring it back. I don't know. It's the classic. It's almost like the day before the Tour is in a lot of ways it's the last. That was the reason.
That's the reason.
But it always seems to me like the day before the Champs-Élysées, like that's the final finish,
Yeah.
right? Like if they do a time trial like they did before, the second to last day, that's still kind of that big finish.
Yeah.
So it'll be neat to actually have it on the last day.
Interesting.
Especially if it's a one-time only thing. I'm okay with that. We'll let it slide.
All right, so what's the say for you guys? Is he the best this year?
Yes.
Anybody that you think besides Vingegaard who could potentially knock him off of the Tour?
Roglic just crushed the Tirreno Adriatico.
He crushed it, huh?
He crushed it.
Yeah.
He won 4 out of the 6 stages and won every jersey except the youth classification.
Is he riding in support of Vingegaard though? I mean, what's going on?
Good question. I don't know what's going to happen.
No,
at
I
the
think
Tour.
They were co-favorites.
I think they're going to go in double-headed monster, and one of them's going to have a hard time, and the other one's going to step up.
Yeah,
I
Roglic
don't-
should probably crash out again.
Yeah, he does have that.
Sorry. I hope
that
he doesn't.
knack and that skill.
I hope he does.
He,
I hope
he,
does
he
really
dominated
Yep.
in Italy this week.
Yep.
I think it's still
A great start for him.
Vingegaard and Pogačar. I think that's
I do
that's the thing. And I think we're all gonna, except for Evan, will come up with some random person that he picks that'll do horrible. Maybe
Gadu,
that person wasn't even
Gadu is
start.
also racing great. This,
Yeah.
Well, I just
early
think that,
season 2.
Yeah,
He likes
that'll
those
be-
French guys.
Yeah, he'll pick someone random.
But you're right. It was great in Paris-Nice for that Vingegaard, like he went up against him. Normally the favorites all kind of avoid each other all early season. Like Roglic and Wout went to Tirreno Adriatico, and then but Vingegaard, and that's the other thing. Vingegaard didn't have his whole team around him for but Vingegaard and Pogačar both went to Paris-Nice and kind of faced off.
They raced.
And they raced against
they
each
really
other,
did.
which that doesn't really happen all that much early season. They kind of avoid each other until the Tour starts so that they don't give away their hand, because clearly it shows that Pogačar has Vingegaard's number so far.
Early season. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't Milan San Remo this weekend?
It is. It will happen in like 5 days from now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Fun to watch.
That's fun to watch.
And then I know we're probably all in agreement right now that he's not the best ever yet. He's got to prove himself. What is the threshold that he needs to hit for that to be considered?
I think if you win 4 tours, you're in the talking points.
Correct.
Right?
How many people have won 4 tours?
Chris Froome.
Who's the big guy that won 4 tours? We should know this right off the top of our head.
Contador?
No,
he won 2. I think
he won 2. The big guy from Italy. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna.
The big guy from Italy. The Badger.
No, yeah, he probably did tour.
Bernard
Hinault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Evan when you need him?
Evan Price is probably rolling over in his grave right now, like just yelling at the microphone or yelling at the whatever he's listening to the podcast on.
Miguel Indurain. That's the guy I'm talking about.
Of course.
Yeah.
How many did he win?
I think he won 5.
5. How long ago?
91 through 95. Yep, 91 through 95.
Was he clean?
No.
Not in those years. He was not.
I mean, would you take Pogačar over Froome right now as being a better classics racer overall?
A better
cycle?
classics racer? Yeah, for sure. I don't think Froome was a great classics racer, was he? Did he win a whole bunch of
And then what about Grand Tours? Who's the better classics or better?
Froome has 4 of them.
Froome was,
He won. Well, he won 4 Tour de France's.
It looked to me like he had it it almost looked like he had the formula figured out, right? Where it's like, team does this, we ride these watts, we look at our stem, blah blah blah, we win these races, and that's why I think people were getting frustrated with the whole thing. They were just like, this isn't fun to watch.
Too mechanical,
Yeah, but
well, I don't know. If he wins 4, let's say he wins this year, next year, would you say he's the best?
He's in the conversation.
Yeah, I
mean,
think you talk about him.
Let's say he wins this year and next year. That would make him, 24 years old and have 4 tours under his belt?
Yeah.
And
That's
he's
pretty crazy.
And he still hasn't peaked. I mean, when are you going to peak as a cyclist? 26, 27, 28, 29, somewhere in there?
Yeah, late 20s for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If the guy
30s,
stays
early
healthy
30s,
and
yeah.
he's clean, how can he not be?
Yeah. It's if he keeps his drive to keep doing it.
I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to project that that far out.
yeah, it's a subjective thing, but
Bernard, he's hard to. He won friggin' everything, not just.
That's the thing.
He won classics and one-day races and
But
early
Pogacar's
season
like
races.
that.
Yes,
Pogacar's like that.
yes,
he can
it's
win.
also true.
He can win. He win everything. He can
He
win.
won Strade
he can
Bianche
win
last year.
sprints.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Pretty crazy.
So I think that makes him more likable. Whereas Froome, he was a
robot.
He's a robot.
Yeah.
He was a Grand Tour.
I love Pogačar. I think he's such a great
It's good
kid.
for the sport.
And he's kept his nose clean. He seems like he's got great sportsmanship. I mean, you see a lot of him coming up and congratulating people and fist bumps. He's got respect. People respect him, and they're just like he's riding on another planet. That's what a lot of people are saying. He's on a different planet in terms of his fitness.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Suspicious.
Whatever. Who cares?
Cool.
I mean, that's what we do. People
All right.
win a whole bunch of things. You start to get suspicious.
One more question for you guys.
Okay.
Blood glucose monitors. Would you use them, and should they
CGM.
be illegal to use while racing?
They are illegal in the Tour. I don't know if they're illegal in triathlon or
The
other
UCI
sports.
the UCI has a rule that you can wear them during training, but you cannot wear them during a race.
Okay.
Right.
They're not injecting anything into you. They are just monitoring what's going on within you.
Correct.
Why the hell would they say these things are illegal? I mean, you can use a power meter, you can use a heart rate monitor. That's telling you what's going on, like
inside you.
Well, according to the UCI, you can see exactly where your blood glucose level is.
Heart
and
rate
you
monitor tells me exactly where my heart rate is at.
True.
Power meter tells me how much strength or how much wattage I'm putting into the bike.
Also true.
I mean, what's the difference? Does this fall under the category of like your socks are too high? Come on, UCI.
Maybe a little bit. But
I think so. I think it's just like we don't want that as part of cycling. This is just like a strict, there's no reasoning behind it besides the fact that it's like, man, that's too much.
They're just thinking it's just too much.
They want, because, okay, so theoretically, if you know exactly where your blood glucose levels are, you're highly unlikely to bonk. Right?
You won't. If you're monitoring that, you won't bonk because you'll see, I am heading towards low, so I need another gel or a rice cake or something.
Here's a compromise for everybody. The athletes want to be able to monitor anything and everything that they possibly can. The UCI
I don't
wants
know if that's true.
Well, their power, their heart rate, their blood glucose. I mean,
Their coaches want them to be able to monitor everything.
Well,
the
if they
riders
have
are
that-
like, screw this. I don't even want a power meter.
if they have that data, well, I can't think of any rider who doesn't want to have a power meter because that's going to tell you a lot about what's going on with your body.
It's so if you talk to someone like Richie, like any of those guys, like
Richie
the
Port?
class, the old Richie Port, Froome, all those guys, they're like, I don't want disc brakes. I don't want any of this technology. Like, just want to go ride
Old man,
bikes.
get off my lawn.
There you go.
And you're done racing anyway. So
That's the thing is, I think that's when you're done
So
racing.
My compromise is the UCI is trying to say, no, you don't want all that stuff. I think that if they're going to have all of these monitors, it should be broadcasted for everybody to see. It should be up on the TV screen.
Yeah.
And I would
love
that.
Let me
I
see
would
the
love
heart
to
rate
see
monitor.
heart rate,
Let me see
power,
your
blood
blood
glucose, all of that stuff. Like, and that would be so fun for us to watch at home. Like, oh my gosh, did you see what so-and-so did today on such and such a climb? They put up this many watts and you're watching them go. And then all of a sudden he's going to bonk or he's going to fade or it's going to fall out. And then it's kind of like a video game. I think that'd be super fun.
I think it'd be very cool. I think like maybe it's not the tours or any of the grand tours, but some race should do it. Some race should be like, hey, here's the deal. I think the teams would not necessarily feel super pumped about this, but once they started to see people tuning into this race, if it was like a one-day classic or something like that, I think that the teams would be like, we don't want to be a part of this until they saw the numbers of everyone being like, yep, that's the race to watch, because you get to see so much detail about these athletes. Technology-wise, it would be tricky because you have to relay that information probably through that back transponder piece that they little piece that they put on the back of their bikes. Then that would have to be relayed somewhere. It would just be tricky. Relayed up to some server somehow.
I think it'd also be fun too to watch pay-per-view with microphones on all these guys unfiltered.
Yes.
Hearing
the barking that they
bark-
do to
yeah,
each
yeah,
other.
the crap talking. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Dude, that's how you get more people to watch bike racing.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
That would be.
I think people would tune in for that stuff.
So
interesting.
you want to talk about what happened this past weekend?
So in the women's Strade Bianche race, which is what is it, 20-mile pseudo gravel race that you can do really on road bikes in Italy, in the Tuscany region of Italy. There was an American from Alaska, Kristen Faulkner, who ultimately took third place in Strade Bianche, and she was disqualified because she was wearing a blood glucose monitor.
Did she know the rules and just do it anyway? Like, can you see a picture of her? Does she is it clearly obvious that she's got it right? Because typically you wear the blood glucose monitor. Oh, you can see it right through her jersey.
It's right there. So there's a picture of her, and you can see the circle on her left shoulder where the blood glucose.
So typically you wear it on your back, basically by your tricep, kind of back behind your arm. So hers is so that's where she's wearing it, right? So that's the standard spot for athletes to wear it. The other spot that's common typically for diabetics is on your belly. I don't know why athletes tend to use their tricep area versus diabetics tending to use their belly, but you can put it, either of those locations.
So these patches that athletes wear, you wear them for roughly 10 days to 2 weeks, something like that. That's about how long the patches last.
Right, and that's mostly the adhesive part that just ends up giving out.
The blood glucose monitor that diabetics wear on their stomach area, those are a little more invasive, and they last for like a month and a half or
sure
2
about
months.
that?
Yeah, my dad has one, and we have a teammate that wears one.
Okay, so you're
too.
thinking about the difference between the pump itself.
It's not a pump. It's not an insulin pump. It's just a blood glucose monitor.
Because the same companies that make the ones for athletes are literally taking the blood glucose monitors from diabetics and using them for athletes. They're the same
Similar.
technology.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that one would last longer.
I know the one that our teammate wears and that my father wears, who is a diabetic. They only have to change them every once a month or 6 weeks or something like that. And these patches only last for a week.
They also seem like they're different shapes too, because those are usually kind of almost like a pill kind of shape with bigger one
thicker.
side. And then the athlete ones are circular. Anyway, there's a company called Super Sapiens, which is kind of the big company that's trying to move blood glucose monitors, CGMs, to athletics. And, again, you're looking at your blood sugar levels,
right?
And you can see exactly if things start to dip or how your body reacts to certain food or gels or whatever kind of situation your body's going through.
You see exactly what happens with your blood glucose as have you eaten a meal or as you are working out.
Yeah. So she got disqualified completely. It's odd to me. It seems to me like she must not have known the rule, because she's not trying to hide it. If you were trying to hide it, I think you would put it on your belly as an athlete.
I mean, she's on a pretty big team. I mean, they have to know these things.
She's on Team Jayco.
Yeah.
But why didn't she hide it better? If you put it on your belly, it's gonna be less obvious.
Yeah.
Team Jayco will work to educate all team members, staff, and riders to ensure such an issue does not occur in the future by analyzing in detail the
they're
UCI
blaming
regulations.
on lack of education.
Yeah.
That seems
like she didn't know she wasn't supposed to wear it during the race.
Yep.
She's been wearing it in all her training.
She wears it on for her training, yeah. So I would think that most of the pro riders are wearing these during training to get a feel for exactly what their blood glucose does when they're in the thick of it and they take a gel or when they don't take a gel. So that's my guess, is that most people are using the technology in training.
Yeah.
So going back to the question is, should they be illegal? Is there any reason why you think the UCI would say, no, you're not allowed to use these? I mean, they're not performance enhancing per se. It's going to give you an edge in terms of just knowing what's going on with your body, but it's not giving you a bump or a boost, or
maybe it's in protection of the athletes. It's like, okay, now I have to put this thing inside of my, because it's basically the way they go on with this kind of stamp kind of thing on the back of your arm, and it puts a little prick into your skin. So again, athletes are like, oh, great. now I have to have a power meter. I have to have this. I have to have that. I have to watch everything that I eat. I have to be super skinny, and they have to literally stuff things under my skin so that they can continually watch my blood glucose.
Right.
Like how much, at what point are the athletes like, can you please just have a rule against this? We don't want to be these little lab rats.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, for me, like it's something that I want to test on the channel. Like I want to wear one for a month. I know Ray, GC Rainmaker, has been wearing one for a while, and he hasn't posted anything yet, but he's like, yep, keeps coming off, keeps falling off when I do this and that and the other or whatever. But
would you guys wear one?
I'm going to at some point for sure.
I would just to see the numbers, to see how it helps. Yeah.
And you can see how your body reacts to my, it's like, oh, my morning, whatever milkshake that I drink. My morning milkshake seems to be spiking my blood, and you learn like as you.
So not only did it bring all the boys to the yard,
milkshake.
Yep,
it did. It also spiked your blood glucose. But if you talk to people that have worn them, they'll say stuff like, "Oh, I didn't realize that grapes spiked my blood glucose." For some, like that's one of those weird things that you wouldn't
really
think.
Spike it.
Yeah,
you want a gradual build and a gradual descend. You don't want this big
spikes.
spike. Yeah.
Well, because you don't want your body to become insulin resistant.
No.
Right?
What's the cost on these things? Do we know?
That's good. That's a really good question.
I don't. Is it like a cost prohibitive thing that I don't know. I mean, if it was relatively inexpensive, maybe, I don't know. You probably have to have a device that's.
I'm guessing it's like somewhere between $100 and $200 a month or so.
Yeah, and were you saying that they can be connected to some head units? Potentially?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that stuff is still very new. I want to say Garmin for sure, and Wahoo, I think, also can display your current blood glucose levels from a monitor. Pretty interesting.
A startup kit from GoodRx is around $1,000.
Okay, well, look at supersapiens.com because that's the sports one. So a lot of these, if you are diabetic, then insurance they're gonna cover it, and sometimes it's funny with medical pricing, right? It's like, oh, insurance is gonna cover this. We're gonna ramp these prices up, and they're gonna be crazy.
Yeah, the out-of-pocket cash amount's always going to be a little bit different.
Right, and anything sports related is of course going to be out of pocket. So there you go.
This is exhilarating stuff. You're listening to us search stuff up here on the internet that we probably should have looked up before. I would try it if it wasn't a cost prohibitive thing. I would want to know these things. And, another thing is like, you're going to learn a lot about your body too. So it might not necessarily be something that you need to wear forever, but maybe it's something that you can use just to get to know your body and what certain things feel like, and maybe test out some different foods and some different supplements so that you can, understand better what's going to help you perform better.
There's a whole bunch of companies that are doing this now, because basically one of the blood glucose companies is saying, yeah, we'll supply third parties. And so I think we're gonna see a lot of these little companies pop up using the same basic system, but then displaying the data differently with their smartphone devices. So Super Sapiens is a big one. There's another company called Levels, I think. I could be wrong about this.
Can't find cost on Super Sapiens.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to circle back on that. Maybe we need to do a whole podcast on just this, and maybe we can do some testing too. Maybe somebody wants to send us some free stuff to try out.
What's interesting is these last couple months, I've been doing like my trainer workouts. I've been doing them fasted. In the morning, I've been doing them fasted. There's certain workouts I know I cannot do fasted. If I'm doing a set of over-unders, I can't do it. I fall apart halfway through the workout. But threshold work, VO2 work, sweet spot stuff, I can do 2-hour workouts fasted and don't feel a tail off. What I'm curious about is really what my blood glucose is doing
when you're fasted.
When I'm fasted, am I really just running on fumes, or would it be way better? That's interesting to me.
Well, whatever you're doing, it's working for you.
Something's working.
You've shed quite a few pounds. Your fitness has come up. You're able to, withstand heavier workloads. I mean, you're doing well.
Yeah, much better than last year, for sure.
That's good.
All right, so you guys still haven't answered my question. Should these things be illegal?
No.
Matt?
I don't know. I say this is just one of those things where I'm all about the rules. Whatever the rules are, whatever the governing body that you're a part of has decided, just stick to that. Don't break the rules. If they're saying, sure, allow it, then that's great. Then do it if you want to. Don't do it if you don't. But it's just, that's like when we always talk about drugs and things like that. It's like, just don't break the rules. Whatever the rules are, that's what we all have to go with. Should it be a rule? Should the governing body have decided that yes, that these are not going to be allowed. Probably not. There's not a real good reason.
So you can take ketones and do all these other supplemental things that are
ketones are all legal.
They're in the gray area and they're performance enhancing.
Sure. Yeah.
But blood glucose monitors, no.
It's weird. It's a weird decision, but then they have like people out measuring socks. I think it's whatever they decide is fine. If it were me, I'd probably be like, allow it. And I do love the idea of being like, let's broadcast this data. I love that idea.
I would love that.
I found the cost of Super Sapiens. It's not available in the U.S. That's why I had difficulty
I should have told you
finding
that.
it.
Do they ship to the U.S.?
No.
Oh, dang it.
It's 150 euros a month.
Okay.
That's not bad.
If you want to do it, like continually, 150 euros a month.
So
is there another company that does it here in the U.S. and why won't they?
It's
there's a couple others.
Right. It's
an FDA thing or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a bummer. I was getting all excited. I want to try this stuff out.
I want to try it too.
Well, we'll have to do a little bit more research on that and come back to it because I think that would be interesting. Anything else on that?
No.
Hey.
Champ here.
Champ
I'm
Bailey.
all about having fun.
Champ Bailey in
Champ
the
is here.
hizzy. What's up, dude?
I am. There's been tons of racing this last week. We've already talked about almost all of it.
Yep.
So what do you want? So there was 2 stage races going on at the same time. We already mentioned them. Paris-Nice was going on and Tirreno-Adriatico. So Paris-Nice obviously in France and Tirreno-Adriatico was in Italy. And both of them had weather issues, like kind of significant weather issues. One of the Paris-Nice stages was canceled because of high winds. And they only canceled it because there were trees that had blown onto the course that they were having difficulty removing. Wow. So it was pretty rough. And Tirreno-Adriatico, I think like the first or the second day it was raining and snowing so bad it was kind of ugly. Or maybe that was the other Spain race. I'm getting them all mixed up. Regardless, Primoz Roglic dominated the Tirreno-Adriatico. He did have Wout van Aert with him, helping out quite a bit. And Primoz won every single stage.
Better super lieutenant lineup man. Wout van Aert, Matthew Van Der Poel.
Oh, dude, did you see what Van Der Poel did in this race?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So there was a sprint stage, and Van Der Poel let out his teammate, Jasper Philipsen, and just friggin' crushed it.
Yeah.
He came around a corner and laid down like a 1,500 watt like lead out, and nobody stood a chance. It was like one of the more beautiful lead outs I've seen in a long time.
You start to wonder for a second, is he just going to hold that and win it himself?
No, with like 100 meters to go, he just peeled off,
delivered him,
and like put his arms in the air like he already knew his teammate was going to win. He was like so stoked for it. It was actually really cool to see.
Yeah.
So
there were some rumors or some stuff coming through. I don't know if it would actually be rumors. I think it was probably from him. He's wondering if he did too much during the cross season.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
He's questioning his decisions to race as much as he did because he feels like he's kind of suffering. He's feeling a little bit of fatigue going into the classics this year. So
that's interesting.
We've talked about that before. Like how is it that Wout and Van Der Poel and even like Pidcock and some of these other guys, I mean, granted, they're young, they can recover, but these guys are starting to get a little bit older. I mean, they're 26, 7, somewhere in there, and they go bonkers through cross. Then they go do all of the classics, and then they're jumping into these world. They just don't seem like they take very much time off.
Wout got sick, so it didn't like really kind of work for him either.
Yeah.
So Van Der Poel crushed in the cyclocross world championships. Sure. He won it. Well, I guess he won it in the final sprint, but he still won it. Wout, who was hoping to do Strade Bianche and several others, got sick and didn't do Strade Bianche. Actually, neither did Van Der Poel. He didn't do Strade Bianche either, if I'm remembering correctly. But and Pidcock won, right?
Yeah,
he won Strade Bianche.
Yep.
So he took off like 2 weeks before the cyclocross season starts. So did it help him for?
We questioned it. Like, did he just walk away from it because he knew he wasn't going to be the big two?
It's possible.
I don't know.
Actually, Wout and Pidcock had a little interaction.
Sure did
on one of the stages.
Did you see that?
No.
No.
Wout was I don't know what it was. There was 10K to go or 12K to go. It was near the end of the stage.
It's 4K to go, yeah.
Okay. And he was kind of trying to buzz through the field and pull his rider up. And he got squoze and ended up clipping Pidcock, and they both crashed.
Well, I think Pidcock, it was kind of both of them. Like he was moving up, but he couldn't see Pidcock, and Pidcock like actually rode into him at the same time that he started to come over. So if you've got somebody coming into you and you're behind them, you're half wheeling them and you ride into their back wheel, I'm going to say it's a little bit more on you because he rode into Wout's wheel, even though Wout was coming over. I don't know. But anyway, at the end of it all, like watching how Wout kept that upright for as long as he did, his bike was literally going
sliding
sideways.
And
oh my gosh.
He was like riding it like a power slide.
Yeah. And then he ended up like basically landing on his butt, and then Pidcock his bike went flying.
Yeah.
It went way up the road, and he kind of got a little bit more beat up in the whole process, I think.
They both crashed. They both went down. Neither of them were hurt, but they both ripped holes in their bibs.
Yep.
And Wout immediately got up, left his bike, walked over to Pidcock, shook his hand, basically like, hey,
almost helped him up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. That was kind of on me. That's how I read it, was that Wout went up to him and says, yeah, I was passing at a not good time, and I apologize for that.
I think that I'm going to just call it equal fault for both of them.
Yeah.
That was just my take, but who knows? Oh,
I want everyone healthy. I want everyone healthy
I don't want anybody to hurt.
I want to see some very good racing this classics in summer season.
Yeah.
So it really, I mean, don't play around, guys. Play it safe, please.
I think Julian Alaphilippe even took second on one of the stages, so he's coming around too. So that's kind of
that was the
exciting to watch.
stage that Roglic won, right?
I think so.
Roglic ended up winning that race where they went down.
Roglic, he did, and he wasn't, and it was supposed to be Wout was the protected rider for that stage, but he crashed with 4K to go, so Roglic won it instead.
Yep.
Roglic won 4 out of the 6 stages or something like that, and won every single jersey. The points jersey, the hill climbing jersey, the overall jersey, he won all of them.
I think he can carry that into the tour, but I have to admit, I love seeing that because I like him. He's such a good guy.
He's a good dude.
He's a sportsman. He's got good character. He's a good teammate. He's a good competitor. You like seeing that for him, but at the same time, guy's got a high propensity of crashing. He cracks at the wrong times, and it's just in the big race. You know what I mean? So he just hasn't been able to put the ball over the goal line to score that final touchdown to win. But you like seeing this. I just don't know if it's going to carry over to TDF.
So it was very exciting to watch that. Those were fun races. And Paris-Nice, Pogačar dominated Paris-Nice as well.
You do.
Yeah. So there really nobody else had a chance. Adam Yates was trying to get in there. Gaudu was trying to get in there. Vingegaard was actually trying to get, but Vingegaard ended up third. I think Gaudu ended up second, and Pogačar won it overall. So I think he won 3 out of the 6 stages.
Yeah.
And so it was good racing. It was good stuff.
It's that time of year, boys.
Yeah.
What does the number 109 mean to you, champ?
It means nothing.
Nothing. That is the number of days till the start of the Tour de France.
Oh boy,
109 days.
That's actually a lot if you think about it.
It will go by in the blink of an eye.
It'll go by really fast. But if these guys are peaking now, and I'm thinking of Pogačar, it's like then 100 days is a lot. It's a lot of time.
The Giro's coming up first, so
yep,
and that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Who's setting up for the Giro is there's good people racing the Giro.
of course.
I think Evan Poole is racing the Giro. That's what it was. Yeah.
I'm still curious whether or not they're going to put him in the Tour.
I'm curious too.
And who's Ineos? Who's their GC rider going to be for the Tour? We kind of talked about this, and I don't know if I looked it up. Is Carapaz still riding for them, or did he go somewhere else?
I don't know. We need Evan for that.
I don't know.
We got to do some homework on what's going on. There's all the transfers that happened this past year, and we just haven't had a chance to really nail down who's on what team. And I'm curious to see though who Ineos is going to throw at this, because they're kind of the big team for a lot of years that's on the outside looking in now with UAE and Jumbo.
Carapaz is on EF Education.
Is he really? He did go to EF. Okay. Wow,
it's a good spot for him.
That team, they're getting to be sneaky good.
They're the team that we cheer for all the time.
Oh yeah.
Magnus Cort Nielsen with that terrible mustache. That's so fun to cheer for.
Yeah.
Nielsen Paulus.
Yep, he's
American.
Yeah.
He's for
Looking
EF Education.
strong. Yep.
They've got fun guys to cheer for. So
Good times. All right. Anything else, Champ?
Champ is out.
Champ out.
Champ Bailey out.
That wasn't quite as loud this time.
It's fine.
But in the podcast, I was going to be super quiet. All right. Hey, real quick on the Patreon front. We've got all of our patrons and just wanted to say thank you to them. I did a little pre-drawing.
Okay.
And the names that were still in the bucket got pulled out. And the one that got pulled out was one of our newer patrons, Mr. Chris Mand.
Oh, very cool.
Winner, chicken dinner. So he gets to let us know or swing by the lab, and he gets to pull something out of the little bag of tricks there of all the goodies, and he can call that his for the rest of his life. So thank you for the support, and everybody else who has been a patron, thank you so much. If you yourself are interested in becoming a patron, you can go to dialpodcast.com, and you can click on the little Patreon link there. Choose a Patreon that works best for you. And
Choose your own adventure.
Exactly.
We're into reading those right now at our house. It's fun.
Yeah, we really appreciate the support. I think that's all of the stuff. So let's get into that backpedal thing.
No, we have one last thing. Backpedal. Oh, backpedal.
Yeah. You're starting to sound like me, Matt. You're hanging around me too much.
My backpedal can be super fast.
Go for it, dude.
Because I did not go to training camp.
Yep.
I think I biked once outside and then...
Oofta. What did you do outside?
I was testing a bike radar that's coming to market soon.
Sweet.
We can't talk about it. It's top secret.
I may have tested the same one this past week too.
So that'll be good. So look out for that video coming out in the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
And it was hailing when I biked outside that day.
What the hail?
What the hail? And that was great fun. And other than that, swimming a lot, running a little. That's my back pedal.
How's the Achilles feeling?
Feeling like it's still attached.
Still there, huh?
Can't complain.
Sweet. Lance Epler.
Just give us some stats.
Everybody's heard a lot about my back pedal.
Give me some stats.
I rode 25 hours last week.
That's huge.
And I think it was 480 miles or something like that. So
you did a ton of swimming, ton of running.
Didn't do a single one of those two things.
You didn't go, I'm sure the hot tub. There was a hot tub, right?
There was not a hot tub.
There was a hot tub, but it was not functional because there's still the connecting parts and pieces. So it was a relatively new build. The place that we stayed, we were only their third
guest ever.
Yeah, I wanted to say customers. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. So anyway, they just got done building this whole like crazy cool pool thing. And
it's cool that you guys had a good spot because that makes or break. Makes or break the entire trip.
We were lucky to find. We actually had a hard time finding something that would fit all of us that wasn't going to be stupid expensive, and then we found that, and it just worked out great.
Yeah, we had 15 people and some others and whatnot, and it's funny because we've been searching, and I was at acupuncture. I think I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again because why not? I was at acupuncture and I've got 30 needles in me. I'm face down on one of those massage tables with my head poking through the little donut hole thing so that you can be face down. And the massage, well, she's kind of a massage therapist / acupuncturist. They generally want you to relax. I'm like, I can't do that. I got too many other things to do. So she just gives me a hall pass, and she's super cool anyway. And I keep my phone under there. So I'm looking through this little hole in my hands through like kind of, navigating around on my phone. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I've got some time. I need to go see if I can find a house in Tucson. Pop onto VRBO. And one of the first ones that pops up when I put in the parameters that we look for is this place. And this is like in January. I'm like, oh my gosh, this actually works. And I'd been looking forever.
It's hard to find for that big of a group.
And so immediately, and I'm like, I shared it to our team Slack, and I'm like, guys, look what I found. And then Hatfield called on it, and sure enough, we got that reservation made. So it was just kind of funny that I found that like literally I was buck naked underneath the sheet with 30 needles in me, trying to make my hip feel better so I could go to training camp. And that's how we found that VRBO.
It worked out great.
Yep.
So, that's enough for me. I mean, I after coming back from training camp, I've been on. I had to go right back into the basement trainer. So that was this morning before we recorded, and yesterday as well. I did a couple hours. So.
Yeah, I think for me that was God, they were all so fun. It's hard to say which one was better, but I really like that one to the degree that we all were able to stay together for a lot of the rides.
Yes.
We did have some separations here and there. And on the final day, we did split up into two groups because some guys wanted to go climb Mount Limit again. Some guys wanted to go do a couple other areas that we had done earlier in the week that was a little bit more voluminous, if you will. Mm-hmm. That was fantastic. So my week ended with 6 days of riding, and I was just a hair under 25 hours. about 21,000 feet of climbing, and it was like 470 or 475 miles. That's a pretty good little chunk of riding for 6 days.
Solid week.
Yeah, I survived, guys. My hip felt pretty good. I never really.
That was my big question: how did the body hold up?
Yeah,
shoulder.
It never became a bad problem. I did deal with some pretty big cramps and bad cramping in both legs. As a matter of fact, my right quad, the one that actually started that whole hip thing, got cramped up so bad that I wasn't sure if I had actually tore some muscle again or if it was just super sore, delayed onset muscle soreness. And it thankfully was the latter. And it took me a couple days to work through that. And I finally felt pretty good when it was all said and done. But I did get to win the team sprint competition, which was kind of cool. So that was a lot of fun. Duking it out
green
for
socks.
Got some green socks for that. Yeah.
Good.
I think Chris Surratt won the GC, the all around, because he did 5 centuries in 6 days.
5 centuries in 6 days.
Nice work. He's a beast. He's got to get ready. He's got to get ready for a 200-mile gravel ride.
That 6th ride, he still did Mount Lemmon and still had a pile of miles on it. So
yes.
Wow.
Paul first crushed everybody on anything that went uphill. And Dan Beal, if I'm not mistaken, no, it was Tim Niles, won the most aggressive rider. He was the one that had never done a century before, had only a couple times in his life gone past 10 hours in a week. And he went out there and he did a fantastic job. And he was chasing, I don't know what, but he was attacking the group. There was no stop ahead sign and there was no segment. And he just decided he wanted to lay it down and start blast off the front right.
No one's going to see that coming.
Good on you. And then the group would catch him and then we would keep going. But it's like he was just having fun. He was like a little kid on the bike. So he was out there having fun. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun for everybody. And like we said earlier, I think training camp was fully worth it. And looking forward to doing another one next year. Other than that, go away, rain.
Exactly.
Yeah, we could use a couple days in here.
Yeah.
There's some nicer weather coming. So
is there?
I think so.
Wednesday, Thursday, I think it's supposed to be pretty nice. And then Saturday, it's supposed to be nice again. And Sunday for the time trial is supposed to be cloudy. But that's a good thing because there's no rain. And if there's clouds, it means there's no wind, which is really nice for time trialing.
Yeah.
So anything else?
That's it.
All right. One last thing, Matt, go.
Normally I always plug a video, but I could say it's Pie Day. Go eat some pie. It's 3.14 today.
Yeah.
But is our podcast coming out on Wednesday or?
Yeah, it'll come out tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
hopefully you ate pie yesterday. If you're listening to this, tell us about your
What's
pie.
the video coming out though?
Next video coming out will be Garmin Epics after 1 year.
Ooh, yeah, it has been a year, hasn't it?
1 year of usage, and you can see some wear and tear if you look closely at the titanium bezel.
Yeah, I've got some scratches on
bet.
it.
But actually, let me look at your dark one because I think I say something about that in the video about how like the dark one has got a darker colored bezel, and some of that stuff can kind of get scratched off. Not a big deal. The screen, the sapphire screen, those hold up
flawless,
really well.
Yeah,
unless you drag diamond across it, it's like pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about
watch.
that.
Really loved it. So cool.
Yep.
Lance Upler, one last thing.
Please come out to our Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial. I'm sure this is what Jake's one last thing is. So we can
Screw that guy.
Forget that guy.
Yeah.
So yes, we have our first time trial in honor of our fallen teammate, Dr. Michael Myers. We miss him terribly, and we're glad that we get to honor him every year with putting on this time trial because he loved the time trial.
This is exactly what he would want.
This is exactly what he would
Yep.
want.
Yeah, he's front and center on the Obra website right now. There's a big, giant picture of him in his TT get-up and riding on his TT bike doing something he loved. And, man, was that guy a time trialist.
He was good.
I could freaking hammer.
Yeah, he could.
Because I knew you were going to say that, I actually had something else up my sleeve for my one last thing.
Very good.
It's that time of year. The clock changed. We're in daylight saving time now.
Oh yeah, savings.
Saving.
Daylight savings. What are we savings?
Savings. But
so
different rides.
That's the trigger for us to pretty much get ready to start doing this little thing called flogging. We're going to start our flogging rides. Not this week. There may or may not be a little like pre-flogging ride that'll be more of a group ride just to go out and like do course preview and check things out this week, but it'll probably start up next week after the time trial. You guys can if you're local, come out and join us for a little flogging ride, and then on Tuesdays we'll be doing our call it kind of the dirt flogging, but it'll be our gravel ride that we do on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays and Thursday rides are coming back on, and our weekday lunch rides on Wednesdays will be coming back online as well, weather permitting. So
when does that Friday fog hat ride?
Those go from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So that's still a few months off. Although I've had some people that have been bugging me about getting that back on the calendar or having it start up sooner than Memorial Day weekend, but then maybe we'll do it because people love those rides.
They're fun.
We get a lot of people come out for them. So, wait, that's my one last thing.
Cool.
Anything else, guys?
That's it.
We will be back next week with another one of these, and until then, bye for now.